I never thought I'd stare down the barrel of my own success. Finger on the trigger, ready to pull it on the man who built his empire on my broken back. That morning, as the first rays hit the Hudson, I slipped the forged email into his inbox, the one that would unravel his perfect life like a cheap suit in a rainstorm. And when he opened it, coffee in hand, his world didn't just crack, it shattered into a million jagged pieces, each one slicing back at me too. You see, betrayal isn't just a word in the boardroom, it's a virus. And I'd been patient zero for years. They say in New York, you don't climb the ladder, you claw your way up, nails bloody, leaving fingerprints on every rung. I was Alexandra Hayes, 34, the wunderkind of mergers and acquisitions at Sterling Global, a firm that devoured startups like a kid with Halloween candy. I'd inked deals that made headlines, but the $5 billion merger with Apex Tech? That was my magnum opus. The one that would etch my name in the marble lobby downstairs. It started 2 years back, in the fluorescent hell of our Midtown office. I'd been grinding 80-hour weeks, fueled by black coffee and the kind of ambition that keeps you up at night, replaying conversations like a bad mixtape. My boss, Victor Langford, Vic to his yacht club buddies, was the silver fox of Wall Street. 58. With a jawline like a Roman emperor and eyes that could appraise your net worth in a glance. He poached me from Goldman with promises of equity and autonomy, whispering, in that velvet baritone, Alex, you're the sharpest blade in the drawer. Let's carve up the world together. Together. What a crock. Vic was the king of the flip-flop. One day your mentor, the next your executioner. He'd praise your pitch in the morning meeting, then gut it behind closed doors for his own spin. But I ate it up, because under him, I bloomed. Late nights turned into strategy sessions in his corner office, overlooking Bryant Park, where we'd map out hostile takeovers over single malt scotch. He called me his secret weapon, and damn if I didn't feel it, power surging through me like the A train at rush hour. The Apex deal was different. It was seismic. Apex, this scrappy AI firm out of Silicon Alley, had algorithms that could predict market crashes before the Fed blinked. Their CEO, a tattooed millennial named Jax Rivera, wanted out, burned by venture capital vultures, and I saw the synergy. Sterling's legacy infrastructure plus Apex's predictive tech, it'd birth a beast worth billions. I poured my soul into it, financial models that ran hotter than a summer sidewalk, due diligence reports thicker than the Bible, pitch decks that could seduce a stone. I flew to Palo Alto 3 times, wining and dining Jax's team at rooftop bars with views of the bay, sealing alliances with handshakes that felt like fate. Vic was hands-off at first, letting me run point. Your baby, Alex, he'd say, clapping my shoulder a little too lingeringly. But as the numbers swelled, projections hitting $5 billion in valuation, his interest spiked. He dropped by my desk unannounced, peering over my shoulder at spreadsheets, his cologne invading like a corporate raid. Brilliant, he'd murmur, but there was a glint in his eye, the kind a fox gets before the henhouse heist. 3 weeks before close. It happened. The boardroom was a pressure cooker, suits from both sides, lawyers circling like sharks, the air thick with the scent of fresh printer ink and desperation. I just walked them through the final valuation when Vic stood up, all 6'3" of him, and launched into his closer. He wove my data into his narrative seamlessly, but then he ad-libbed. And let's not forget the ethical safeguards, he boomed, pulling from thin air a clause about data privacy that I'd never proposed. It was brilliant. Actually preempting SEC scrutiny, but it was mine?
No.
He'd twisted it. Made it his. Crediting our team's foresight without a nod to me. I bit my tongue. Glory later, I thought. But later came faster than a margin call. That night, as champagne corks popped in the executive lounge, Vic pulled me aside. Alex, you're invaluable. But this merger, it's changing the game. We need to realign. His voice was soft, paternal almost. Then the axe, effective immediately. You're out. Severance package is generous. 6 months. Non-compete waived. Fired. Without reading a word of my work. He hadn't even skimmed the final report I'd emailed him that morning. 4,000 pages of blood,
Sweat.
and 0 sleep. I stood there, glass in hand, the room spinning like a bad acid trip.
Beak.
What the hell? This was my deal. I built it. He smiled that politicians smile. And you did, sweetheart. But boards get squeamish about entanglements. Jax mentioned some late-night emails that could be misconstrued. Optics. Alex. It's all optics. Entanglements? The emails, flirty banter after too many tequilas in Palo Alto. Nothing cross lines. But Vic had twisted them into impropriety. He'd buried me to elevate himself, claiming the win solo. I stormed out, heels clicking like gunfire on marble, the city lights blurring through tears I refused to shed. Back in my walk-up in Brooklyn, I cracked a bottle of Cabernet and scrolled through my inbox. There it was, his reply all to the board, time-stamped an hour after my email. Team's work is solid. Proceed. Not a single open attachment. He hadn't read it.
Bastard.
That night, the virus took root. Betrayal isn't passive. It's a fire in your gut, scorching everything until only ash and resolve remain. I could have lawyered up, sued for wrongful termination, plenty of precedents in this cutthroat town. But no. Vic had played chess while I was playing checkers. Time to flip the board. The secret he'd buried? It started 6 months in, during a due diligence deep dive. I'd uncovered it accidentally, poring over Apex's financials in a hotel room in San Jose, jet-lagged and wired on Red Bull. Tucked in a subfolder labeled Legacy Assets was a ledger, off-books payments to a shell company in the Caymans. $2.7 million. Funneled through Vic's signature. Bribes? Kickbacks to grease the deal? It reeked of insider trading. The kind that lands you in orange jumpsuits at Club Fed. I'd confronted him once. Over takeout Thai in his office.
Beak.
This looks bad. We need to disclose. He'd laughed it off, eyes cold as steel. Ancient history, Alex. Pre-merger noise. You want this deal to fly? Let it go. And I did for the firm. For my career. I buried it deeper than he ever could, taking the fall in my conscience. Mistake number 1.
Now.
Fired and furious, I dug it up. Revenge wasn't a tantrum, it was surgical. I started small, anonymous tips to the SEC whistleblower line, vague enough to stir the pot without boiling over. Then, I hacked my old work laptop, nothing fancy. Just a forgotten password and a VPN from my burner phone. Files galore, Vic's emails, his calendar, the digital trail of his double life. Turns out, Vic wasn't just a schemer, he was a serial flipper. Divorced twice. Kids who hated him. A mistress in the Hamptons funded by consulting fees. And the merger? He'd been shopping my work to competitors, hedging his bets. If Apex tanked, he'd pivot to a rival bidder.
Me?
Collateral damage. By dawn, my plan crystallized. I'd leak the ledger, but not clean, tainted, so I pointed to Jax, not Vic. Let them tear each other apart while I watched from the shadows. Controversial? Hell yes. Destroying innocence to gut the guilty? That's the American dream. Twisted and true. Weeks blurred into a haze of freelance gigs, ghostwriting white papers for fintech bros in WeWork spaces, and late-night reconnaissance. I tailed Vic to his favorite steakhouse on 55th, the one with the $100 dry-aged ribeyes. He dined with board members, toasting the merger's close. My name erased like a bad tattoo. I sat across the street at a dive bar, nursing a whiskey sour, plotting the next move. The flip came unexpectedly. A call from Jax. Post-merger glow faded. Alex. Off the record. Vic's screwing us. He's already floating spin-off rumors to tank the stock. Jax. The tattooed idealist. Begging for alliance. I could have warned him, clean, been the hero. Instead, I fed him half-truths, steering him toward the ledger without fingering Vic directly. Check the shells.
Jax.
Follow the money. He bit. Hard. Within days, Apex's lawyers were sniffing, and Vic's phone lit up like Times Square. I watched it unfold from my laptop. Popcorn in hand, the emails flying, the accusations mounting. Vic fired back, blaming rogue elements, code for me. But I was a ghost now, untraceable. The tension built like a nor'easter off the coast. Vic's public facade cracked, a Bloomberg interview where he sweated through his Brooks Brothers shirt, dodging questions about irregularities. I almost felt sorry, almost. Then I remembered the severance check, cashed but cold, and the emails he'd weaponized against me. Climax brewed in the boardroom again. 6 months post-ax. I'd finagled an invite as a consultant for a neutral party, easy in this town of revolving doors. Vic at the head. Jax across. Air electric with unspoken war. I slipped in the forged email during a recess, from Vic's account to a SEC contact, confessing the bribes but framing Jax as the architect. Carbon copy to the board. When they reconvened, all hell broke loose. Vic's face drained of color as his phone buzzed, the leak hitting wires simultaneously. Jax lunged across the table. Not physically, but verbally. A torrent of, "You son of a," that had security twitching.
Me?
I sat quiet, heart pounding like a bass drop at Output nightclub. The revenge high sweeter than any bonus. But revenge, darling, is a two-edged sword. As cuffs clicked on Vic outside the building, NYPD courtesy of an expedited warrant, I slipped away. The city swallowing me whole. Part 1 of the plan, executed. The twist? I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. New York in autumn is a tease, crisp air promising change, leaves turning gold before they rot on the sidewalk. I holed up in a sublet in the village, a walk-up with creaky floors and a view of nothing but fire escapes, perfect for a woman on the lam from her own life. The merger dust settled into a scandal storm. Headlines screamed, Sterling Global exec arrested in $5 billion fraud probe. Vic's mugshot splashed across the post like a bad blind date. Pundits on CNBC dissected it, calling it the fall of a Wall Street titan, while Twitter, X, whatever, lit up with memes of Vic as a cartoon villain.
Pitchfork in hand.
I should have felt vindicated. that electric buzz of justice served cold. Instead, it gnawed at me, a hollow ache like biting into a wormy apple. Jax got dragged into, subpoenaed, his stock plummeting 20% overnight. Innocent, mostly, but my poison pen had smeared him. Controversial decisions? Yeah, I'd made a few. Sacrificing a decent guy to fillet the snake. That's the gray zone of revenge, where right and wrong blur like rain on a cab window. Vic's flip-flops ramped up from jail. Bail denied, flight risk, the judge said. Citing his Cayman connections, I got wind of his moves through a mole, my old assistant, Lena, now promoted to Vic's empty throne. She texted burner to burner, he's raging. Blaming you, Alex. Hired PIs. I laughed it off at first, but paranoia crept in. Late nights, I'd jolt awake, convinced footsteps echoed on the stairs. The city, my ally once, turned foe, every suit on the subway a potential tale. The buried secret festered too. That ledger? It wasn't just Vic's dirt. It tied back to me, indirectly. During those Palo Alto trips, I'd signed off on a consulting invoice at Vic's insistence, $50K to that same shell, disguised as Apex Outreach. Optics. Alex, he'd cooed. Builds trust. I'd done it.
Stupidly.
Thinking it was legit.
Now.
It was my albatross. A mistake I'd borne for his empire. If the feds dug deep, I'd be Exhibit B. Twist one hit by a certified mail, a summons to testify. Vic's lawyers, sharks from Kirkland and Ellis, wanted my deposition. As key architect of the merger, the letter read, "Your insights are crucial." Bullshit. It was a trap to drag me into the light and gut me on the stand. I lawyered up cheap, a pro bono firebrand from legal aid, a Brooklynite named Maria with tattoos peeking from her cuffs and a glare that could curdle milk. They'll paint you as the jealous ex-employee, Alexandra. Play smart.
Smart meant Counter-Strike.
I leaked more, Vic's mistress emails, explicit enough for tabloid gold but redacted for deniability. The Post ran Wall Street Wolf's steamy affair. Was it Paola?
His wife.
The long-suffering socialite. Filed for divorce mid-trial, citing irreconcilable duplicity. Vic flipped again. From denial to deflection, a jailhouse interview with 60 Minutes. Tears in his eyes. Claiming a vast conspiracy by ambitious underlings. Underlings.
Me.
The tension ratcheted as winter bit down, snow blanketing the streets like a fresh lie. I took a gig consulting for a rival firm in Flatiron. Low-profile stuff. But it kept the lights on. Jax reached out too, email from a proxy address. Alex. I know it was you. The email signatures don't lie.
Meet?
Neutral ground. Heart in throat. I agreed. Washington Square Park. Under the arch. Tourists milling like oblivious extras in my noir flick. He looked wrecked, bearded now. Eyes hollow from sleepless board battles. Why? I trusted you. His voice cracked. Wind whipping scarves around us. I could have lied. But the words tumbled. Vic took everything. The deal. My career. My shot. He framed me to save his ass. Jax nodded slow.
Processing. And me?
Collateral? I met his gaze. Unblinking. Necessary evil. You bounced back, he won't. He didn't buy it fully, saw the controversy in my calculus. The math where one man's ruin equaled another's redemption. But he flipped. Lying instead of accusing. Vic's got dirt on everyone. Including you, that invoice. My stomach dropped. He knew. Help me bury it deeper, and I'll help you end him. Alliance forged in frost. We schemed. Jax had access to Apex's servers still. Post-merger limbo. I had Vic's digital ghosts. Together, we planted a digital bomb, a backdated email chain proving Vic orchestrated the whole fraud, with Jax as unwitting pawn. Controversial? Absolutely. Fabricating evidence is a line you don't uncross lightly. But in the underbelly of American capitalism, lines are suggestions. Vic's trial loomed like a guillotine, set for federal court in Foley Square. I prepped as a hostile witness. Maria drilling me. Stick to facts. No grudges. But grudges were my fuel. The day before, another twist. Lena's text. He's cutting a deal. Naming names. Yours tops the list. Panic surged, feds at my door by dawn. I bolted, sublet to sublet, crashing on Maria's couch in Crown Heights. Snow fell heavier, burying the city in white silence. Jax called. He's flipping on everyone to save his skin. We accelerate. Our bomb detonated midnight. Leaks to Reuters. The email chain going viral. By morning, Vic's plea bargain evaporated. Judge revoked it for new evidence of perjury. Courtroom showdown. Me on the stand. Vic shackled across the room, eyes boring into me like lasers. He looked diminished, jowls sagging. The emperor stripped bare. Prosecutor grilled me gentle. MS. Hayes. Describe the merger dynamics. I did. Voice steady. Laying out Vic's manipulations. The unread report. The axe. Then cross-exam. Vic shark.
Silk-voiced.
Isn't it true you harbored resentment after termination? Fabricated claims for payback. The room held breath. I leaned in, mic catching every word. Resentment?
Sure.
But facts don't lie.
Counselor.
He fired me blind, stole my work, and buried crimes I covered for him. Gasps rippled. Jury leaning forward. Reporters scribbling fury. Vic flipped one last time on the stand, crumbling under his own weight. She knew. The ledger. We were partners.
Partners.
The word hung, controversial as a loaded gun. Partners in crime? Or betrayed ally? The courtroom split, some nodding sympathy for Vic's confession, others seeing my steel as truth.
Me?
I saw the fracture lines in my revenge, cracks where morality seeped in. Verdict day, guilty on all counts, wire fraud, insider trading, the works. 20 years.
No parole.
As marshals let him out, he twisted back, whispering loud enough for mics. This isn't over. Alex. You'll burn too. The gallery erupted, cheers, jeers, a microcosm of divided America, where winners are villains in someone's story.
Outside.
Snow melted to slush under my boots. Jax waited. Fist bump offered. We did it. But his eyes held doubt, the weight of our sins. I walked away alone, the high fading to a chill. Revenge tasted like ash. And the shadows? They were closing in on me now. Spring thawed Manhattan, but my veins ran ice. Vic's empire crumbled in slow motion. Sterling Global rebranded to Langford Legacy Partners overnight. Stock nosediving like a drunk off a bar stool. Headlines shifted from scandal to schadenfreude, from penthouse to penitentiary, Langford's last stand. I ghosted through it. A specter in coffee shops from Williamsburg to the Upper East Side. Laptop my shield. Paranoia my shadow. The betrayal's echo chamber amplified. Friends, former colleagues, ghosted back. LinkedIn connections withered like cut flowers. One brunch invite from Lena turned ambush. Alex, you're toxic now. The firm's blacklisting you. Over avocado toast at Sarah Beth's. Her eyes darted.
Guilty.
I flipped the script. Telvik's ghostwriter thanks for the shout-out in his memoir draft. The Serpent in the Garden, real original. She paled. I'd hacked the preview chapters. Small wins. But they fueled the fire. Jax and I met in hidden spots, dim sum joints in Chinatown, where steam veiled our plots. He was rising again. Apex's stock rebounding on clean leadership narratives. But guilt gnawed him, turning our alliance brittle. This forgery crap. Alex, it's eating me. What if it blows back? His tattoos seemed faded. Optimism drained. I shrugged. American pragmatism my armor. In this game, clean hands get dirty anyway. Vic taught me that. He flipped, pulling distance. Maybe we end it here. You got your pound of flesh. Tension crackled, our duo fracturing like the merger we'd birthed. I saw the controversy in his retreat, righteous Jax. The good guy couldn't stomach the mud.
Me?
I'd waded in waist, the U-dark current pulling me under. The buried secret resurfaced viciously. Maria called mid-May. Voice tight. Feds want to sit down. That invoice. It's pinging on their radar. My mistake. Born for Vic. Now a noose. I lawyered harder, spinning it as coerced arrest. But doubt crept. Had I been complicit all along? Covering his ass made me his mirror, not his foe. Vic's moves from Sing Sing were masterful, letters smuggled via inmates, landing in my P.O. box like poison ivy. The first. Alex. You think you won? I made you. Without me, you're nothing. A Brooklyn nobody with a fancy degree. Rage boiled. But under it, truth stung. He'd elevated me. Yes. But at what cost? I burned it. Ashes swirling in my sink like confetti from a funeral. Twist 2. The mistress.
Elena.
Surfaced. A bottle blonde from the Hamptons. She DM'd me on X. Vic said you're the reason.
Meet?
I have proof. Skeptical? I bit neutral ground. A Soho loft cafe with exposed brick and overpriced lattes. She slid a USB across the table. Recordings. Vic's voice. Post-arrest. Ranting to her. Hayes is the key. She signed the invoices. Knew the ledger. Flip her. And she's ours. Ours? Elena leaned in. Perfume cloying. He promised me a cut. Said you'd crack under pressure. Guilt. Isolation. But I recorded it all. Leverage. Her eyes gleamed. A mini Vic in Manolos. Controversial offer. Team up. Sue the estate for hush money. Bury the tapes. Or leak them. Torture too. I flip the power. Or I send these to the DA. Perjury bait. She crumbled. Tears real or rehearsed.
Please.
I was trapped. Like you.
Trapped.
The word echoed my own chains. I walked out with the USB. Alliance dissolved before it formed. But it cracked me. Vic's web extended. Tendrils in every bed. Every deal. Summer heat wave hit like a fever dream. Asphalt shimmering. Tempers flaring in subway cars. I took a risk. Visited Vic. Conjugal?
No.
Just glass partition and a phone. Supermax sterility. He looked gaunt, orange jumpsuit swallowing him, but eyes sharp as ever. Come to gloat. Sweetheart.
Closure? I lied.
Truth. Answers. Why me? Vic? The deal was gold. Why, ax me? He chuckled.
Gravelly.
You were too good. Boards smell threats. And those emails with Jax? Leverage. But also jealousy. You shone brighter. Flip-flop incarnate. Villain to victim in a breath. We could have ruled. Alex. Partners. Partners bury secrets. Not each other. My voice cracked. The U-dark underbelly exposed. He leaned close. Your invoice says otherwise. Feds coming?
Run.
Or join me, appeal. Testify mutual. Temptation flickered, flipped to his side. Cut a deal. Emerge phoenix from ashes. Controversial as hell. Betray my revenge for survival? The guard tapped time. I hung up. Broom spinning.
Outside.
Jax waited. Uninvited, but prescient. Heard you visited. Don't. His grip on my arm firm. Concern laced with accusation. We argued in the prison lot. Heat waves distorting air. You're sliding. Alex. This ends in cuffs for you too. Maybe that's the point, I snapped. Vic took my life. I'll take his echo. He walked away. Final flip. You're no better. The words landed like a gut punch, polarizing my soul, hero or monster. Climax brewed in a federal hearing room. Not courtroom glamour, but beige bureaucracy in lower Manhattan. Subpoenaed again. This time as material witness. Maria prepped war. Deny knowledge. Play victim. But as I testified, dry-mouthed under fluorescent buzz, the door burst.
Feds.
Badges flashing. Alexandra Hayes. You're under arrest. Obstruction. Forgery. Twist. Jax had flipped. Clean hands won. He'd confessed our bomb to the DA for immunity. Betrayal circle closed. My ally my undoing. The room blurred. Reporters' flashes. Maria's curses as cuffs clicked cold. For Vic, an agent murmured. No, worse. For the gray-eyed embraced. In holding, orange my new black. I laughed. Manic. Revenge's high crash to abyss. Vic's last letter arrived next morn. Told you. Partners forever. You dark truth. I'd borne his sins. And now they were mine. Jail's a great equalizer. Steel bunks. Fluorescent hum. The symphony of coughs and clanging doors. McAllister Federal. Oklahoma's armpit. Where white-collar crooks like me mingled with the lifers. Indictment read like a greatest hits. Conspiracy. Evidence tampering. The forged chain pinning me as mastermind. Bail? Denied. Flight risk. They echoed Vic's judge. My passport a noose. Maria fought fierce. Motions flying like confetti at a funeral. Plea? Hell no. We exposed the web. But doubt gnawed. Jax's betrayal stung deepest. His clean flip leaving me the villain in our duo. Text from burner. Sorry. Alex.
Had to.
You're poison now. Poison. The word looped. My revenge's residue. Vic's echo haunted. From his cell upstate, he orchestrated via lawyers, settlement offers, veiled threats. Drop charges? Testify clean, I'll recant the invoices. Flip again, foe to savior. Controversial lifeline. Rat out the system that birthed us, or sink alone. I mulled in yard time. Chainlink horizon mocking freedom. Inmate stories blending into mine, betrayed husbands, double-crossed dealers, all chasing that American mirage of payback. Twist 3 unfolded in Discovery. Elena's tapes, subpoenaed, revealed more. Not just Vic's rants, my voice. From that Soho meet, admitting the forgery to her. Necessary evil, I'd said. Mic'd up, she'd played me. Vic's pawn to the end. The web tightened. No loose ends. Public opinion polarized like a midterm election. X threads debated. Alexander Hayes, hero whistleblower or vengeful harpy. Pundit split. Fox called Meet Wall Street's Wicked Witch. MSNBC, a symptom of toxic masculinity in finance. Protests outside courthouses. Feminists chanting sisters over snakes. Bros in MAGA hats yelling, lock her up. No one right. No one wrong. Just fractured America. Mirrors to our flaws. Summer bled to fall. Trial date looming like a storm front. I cracked in a visitor room. Maria across the glass. Eyes weary. Vic's offering immunity. Full exoneration if you flip on Jax. Jax already did me. Bitterness soured. But the U-Dark pulled. Family visits. Mom from Ohio. Tears streaking her cardigan. What happened to my girl? Dad's silent. Disappointment heavier than bars. Revenge's cost. Isolation. The buried secret now exhumed for all. Climax in the courtroom. Foley Square Redux. Jury empaneled. Blue-collar mix. Eyes skeptical. Prosecutor painted me black. Hayes didn't just seek justice. She orchestrated chaos. My turn. Maria's direct. Voice steady. Laying Vic's betrayals bare. The unread report. The axe. The ledger I'd shouldered. I was complicit.
Yes.
But he wielded the knife. Cross-hammered. Tapes played. My necessary evil echoing. Gasps. Jury shifts. Controversy incarnate. The line between victim and villain erased. Then, the bomb. Vic. Wheeled in via video link. Shackled remote. Alexandra, he intoned. Paternal again. Tell the truth. We were in it together. Forgive. And I'll confess all. The room froze. Flip supreme, his Hail Mary. Offering absolution for alliance. Jury divided visibly, some softening, others hardening.
Me?
Heart thundered. Forgive? The word tasted like bile. But in that beat, truth crystallized. Revenge hadn't freed me. It had chained us eternal. I leaned to the mic. Voice clear as a winter sky. Together? You used me. Vic. Buried secrets. Flipped loyalties. Left me holding the bag. No forgiveness. Just facts. No plea. No flip.
Raw.
Unvarnished. The U-Dark exposed. Deliberations stretched 2 days. Tension of ice. Outside. Rain lashed. Protesters chanting dual refrains. Verdict. Not guilty on conspiracy. Jury bought the duress angle, but guilty on tampering. 5 years probation. Restitution to Apex. A split decision. Literally, ballots divided 6-6 on counts. Hung but compromised. Free, but fractured. Courthouse steps. Flashes blinding. Maria hugging fierce. You beat the beast. Jax, vanished stateside. Merger intact but soul scarred. Vic, his appeal tanked. Life in stir. Elena, disappeared to Miami. Tapes her curse. Epilogue in Brooklyn. Autumn leaves carpeting my stoop. I started over consulting solo. Aloft in Dumbo. Writing a tell-all that sparked debates in the Atlantic. Was Alexandra Hayes a feminist icon or corporate Icarus? Readers split. Some hailed my grit. Others decried the collateral. A happy ending? Tragic? Neither. Just real. America's pulse. Beating controversial and unapologetic.
The twist?
Months later. A package. Vic's memoir. Inscribed. Partners forever. But you won the war. Inside. A check, his last flip. Restitution from shadows. I cashed it. Bought a view of the river. Revenge's echo fades. But the debate? Eternal.
Who's right?
You decide. In the end, the $5 billion merger stood, a monument to our sins. And me, Alexandra Hayes, scarred but standing, finger off the trigger.
For now.